Hello and welcome to the Radio Scilly video news. Sign up to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Radio Scilly. What would you need in a disaster? If a major weather event hit our islands and you lost your home, what essentials would you need to survive? That's what Rotarian Tom Henderson asked himself while watching a news report of a disaster 10 years ago, and that thought led to the creation of the Shelter Box initiative. Islanders have heard about the campaign to provide tents containing emergency equipment and shelter for up to 10 people at 2 sessions this weekend. On Saturday night, Tom spoke at the Briar Community Centre. On Sunday night, 50 Islanders watched DVD reports of their aid efforts in Gaza, Haiti and Pakistan.
Construction of roads, they've been carried with wheelbarrows, they've been carried on camels.
Tom told attendees that the islands had given the equivalent of £10 per head of population over the years towards the Shelter Box appeal. If that kind of personal donation was applied to Cornwall, then that county would bring in £14 million. Tom says his response teams of 150 volunteers aim to be on the ground in any area hit by disaster in 48 hours, and they aim to help 500,000 people within 5 years. His goal is to be the #1 aid agency within the shortest possible amount of time.
A bold one, but then, as I often say, people are dying and need our attention. So for me, it's all about driving forward and trying to achieve the aim. It's easy to stand still. It's more of a challenge to move forward.
Shelterbox used the Rotary Club network to make contacts on the ground, and they utilised the 32,000-strong global membership to cut red tape. Because of that, they managed to get into places like Burma and Gaza, where other agencies struggle to make any inroads.
I mean, that's the reason, that's the strength of our organisation. People can see what we do, and we're fleet of foot, fast moving, and I think in a disaster, particularly governments around the world, and as you heard tonight, whether it's Gaza or Burma or Somaliland, they respond to that by helping us to help them, and that comes down to giving us visas.
The £20,000 raised so far in the islands has brought boxes and the sheltered tents for 12 countries, including Swaziland, Congo, Nepal, East Timor and the Ukraine. The 10-person tents are now built to withstand 100-mile-an-hour winds, and a fortnight ago Tom and his wife Jane were in China road testing them in a wind tunnel, also with monsoon settings. He says they always invest in decent quality tools for the boxes, including pliers, axes and cutlery that will last.
It's all about quality, as I've always said from day one, we want something that's going to last. I don't view it as a tent, I view it as a life-supporting tool. I don't view it as an axe, I view it as a tool. So it's all about quality, and with that comes longevity. Why send an inferior product? And they're not expensive, they're just value for money.
Islanders have been advised to keep watching their collecting pots of cash if they have honesty boxes on display. Scilly is famous for money pots, where people who buy local produce and goods displayed on paths or roadside stalls can make payment by dropping notes or jars in a tin or container. Now, residents of Highertown on St Martin's have noticed some of the money has gone missing. Islander Audrey Davis says she hopes the situation goes back to normal as soon as possible.
Because we can't all man the things we sell all the time, it would be just too time consuming. Obviously check the pots more frequently, and just hope that we assume it's holiday makers. When they've gone home we revert back to normal.
St Mary's Police have dispatched an officer to talk to residents on the island. St Mary's Police have top-line results from their street survey on policing priorities. Last Wednesday, officers visited all the islands to find out what people want. Speeding traffic is still Scilly's greatest concern, with dog fouling in second place. The off-islands requested more visible police presence too. Police Chief Charlie Craig says they'll endeavour to make more patrols on the off-islands.
Absolutely, we're there to be spoken to. We're not going to carry on walking around. We want to speak to people, particularly the islanders, to get their view on things. And on the off-islands, they don't get the opportunity, perhaps as much as St Mary's residents, to make mention in person or face to face with us what the issues that they've got.
You might have heard on Radio Scilly that 17 crimes have been committed on the islands by July this year. Officers, though, were pleased to learn that an incident which was logged as a crime could be erased from the books after a reportedly stolen passport turned up at the home of the person who had reported it taken when they got back home to the mainland. A 41-foot French yacht with 5 people on board, the Saint-Denis, was towed to safety in thick fog by the St Mary's lifeboat, the White Sands, on Tuesday morning. Captain Chris Thomas, the lifeboat operations manager, was called by the harbour master, Dale Clark, at 8:30 after receiving a radio message from the yacht. The St Denis had picked up some abandoned net around her prop, 3 miles south of Penninnis Head. Although the sea conditions were benign, visibility was poor, and the islands were shrouded in dense fog. There were concerns that she could have been washed onto the western rocks. The St Mary's lifeboat was launched just before 10 to 9, and the volunteer crew under the command of Andy Howells reached the vessel and towed her into the safety of St Mary's Harbour. The lifeboat was back on her moorings and ready for service at 10. Andy said fishermen should demonstrate a duty of care and not throw unwanted net or ropes overboard, as it can create problems for other water users. The Government School Inspector, Ofsted, have released their findings after a trip to the Five Islands School. Last week they travelled to all bases and spoke to staff and pupils before revealing their grading. But the last assessment gave the school an outstanding rating. Now they've got good with outstanding outcomes. School head teacher Bryce Wilby says the result is highly commendable.
Yeah, we've had a verbal feedback. At the moment it's all provisional scores. They let you know how they think you've got on and what it actually means. And the school's been found to be good, with outstanding outcomes and lots of outstanding features.
Bryce admits it sounds like the school has performed less well, but he says a different scale of measurements are used and all staff and pupils can be proud of what they've achieved.
Yeah, that does sound like it's gone down. It's a very difficult one for a lot of people to grasp, really. The whole structure of Ofsted is different now. The criteria has changed, so they mark you under different criteria. So it's not really fair to compare last one to this one. You need to look at what we've achieved, in isolation of what we've achieved, what it actually tells us about the school.
There's disagreement over who can and who cannot attend the island's produce market. The display of locally made food and crafts in the town hall has recently changed its constitution to become a community company, and with that come new rules. Michelle Mapplethorpe says she's been prevented from selling her fudge unfairly. Mark Prager, who's on the committee for the produce market, says the new rules of membership have conditions for dealing with competing business. He says if somebody wants to duplicate a product already represented at the sale, then the item with the greatest amount of local ingredients or the exhibitor who's been at the market most regularly will be able to have a product monopoly.
I produce a product that is made on the Isles of Scilly, but my ingredients come from the mainland because, as I've just said to you, the local supplier of the local ingredients can't supply me because she can't produce enough.
Michelle says she can understand why people believe it's a case of blocking competition.
It could be. It feels like it at the minute.
Mark Prager said he was expecting Michelle at the recent Islands produce market selling cream teas, but Michelle said that she was told she couldn't go, and because she didn't, the sales that she was going to donate to Cornwall Hospice Care didn't happen. Michelle says she feels it's competition blocking. Mark says he doesn't understand why Michelle would want to display her fudge at the produce market anyway, because she's already in a number of outlets around town, but Michelle says that's her business. Michelle says now she wouldn't want to put her items on display in the town hall produce market on principle.
I'm not allowed to go really because A, my ingredients are fetched from the mainland, and B, there is a competition issue with a local producer who uses local products has first priority, and also the local producer who uses local products who's also attended the local market gets the better pick really.
The man who helped make Queen global superstars says he owes his life to our island's lifeboat crew. Bruce Gowers was at the start of his career as an ITN cameraman following Sir Francis Chichester returning to the UK on his solo around-the-world voyage in the Gypsy Moth in 1967 when tragedy struck. The film crew's vessel, the Braemar, took on water and heavy seas. Matt Lethbridge from the island's lifeboat crew was awarded a silver medal for gallantry by the RNLI. Roy Guy and Bill Burrow were recognised with bronze medals for their part in the rescue. One man on board the vessel died after being rescued of heart failure. Bruce says he's been trying to track down the men who helped him from his home in Malibu near Los Angeles.
We were in search of Sir Francis Chichester, who was coming back from his solo voyage around the world. And I was part of a camera crew for ITV. A Force 8 gale came about and we just got shipwrecked. We were miles off the coast. And I guess the nearest lifeboat was the Scilly Islands. And they actually picked up our crew of about 12 people and then they towed our boat. One of the guys died actually on deck.
After leaving the ITV newsroom, Bruce went on to bigger things after filming the iconic pop video.